There's a point in advisor change where the transition may be done on paper, but the relationship still doesn't feel settled in the room.
And that's why this meeting matters so much. By the time you get here, the client usually isn't deciding whether the transition happened. They're deciding what this new relationship is actually going to feel like.
And that's easy to miss. The intro happened. The meetings are on the calendar, everybody kept moving, and still, the client may be quietly asking something much bigger underneath all of that. Am I really going to feel known here?
And that's what we're getting into in this mini episode. This is Advising Humans, where we talk about the human side of advice, especially the part that doesn't always get said out loud. In these shorter episodes, we focus on one practical move advisors can use right away. This one is about how to approach that first real meeting where the new relationship starts to take shape.
Because this really isn't just a check-in meeting.
It's a trust-building meeting, and the goal isn't to impress the client as fast as possible. It's to help the relationship start to feel personal, steady, and real to them.
So it's less about, here's why I'm qualified, and more about, here's why this relationship can feel steady.
The client isn't just deciding whether you know what you're doing. They're deciding whether this relationship feels personal and trustworthy. Do I still feel known here? Am I going to have to manage more of this myself now? Will this person really understand me and my family? Those are the questions sitting underneath the meeting.
So what is this meeting really for?
I'd say 3 things. First, show them you really understand the context. Second, find out what matters most for them to keep steady. And third, help the new relationship feel real, not still uncertain.
Yeah, that makes sense, because if the client walks out thinking, well, that was nice, but I still don't know if they really get me, then the relationship is still fragile.
And that's where some of the biggest mistakes happen. Advisors lead too hard with their bio, or they ask the client to retell too much too soon, or they move straight into logistics and next steps before the client actually feels understood, or they mistake politeness for confidence. Politeness is not the same thing as comfort.
Okay, let's make that practical. What should the advisor do differently in this meeting?
First, show some understanding before you ask the client for more. That matters a lot. Start by showing that you already understand a few meaningful things about the relationship.
So not tell me everything from the beginning.
Right, more like, I want to start by reflecting back what I understand so far, both about your situation and about how you've liked to be supported. And then you can tell me what feels right, what feels missing, and what matters most to carry forward.
That's really good, because it shows effort without pretending you know everything.
It does. It creates continuity without sounding forced, and it protects the client from that discouraging feeling of having to start from zero.
Okay, what comes after that?
Then I'd ask a few questions that help you understand what this relationship needs to feel like for them. You could ask, what would you most want to carry forward into this next relationship? Or, when you think about being well served, what feels most important beyond the actual planning work? Or, what would help this still feel personal and not just procedural?
Those are strong because they're not just asking what the client needs, they're asking what this relationship needs to feel like going forward.
That's really what this meeting is for. You're not just gathering preferences. You're helping the client put words to what would help them trust this relationship moving forward.
And I'm guessing household questions matter here too.
Very much so, because trust inside a household is not always evenly shared. One person may look comfortable while somebody else is still skeptical or unsettled. So it helps to ask, who else in your household may need to feel more included, reassured, or comfortable as this relationship takes shape? Or is there anything that would help support feel steadier, not just for you, but for everyone involved?
Yeah, otherwise the advisor could think the meeting went great, while the spouse leaves unconvinced.
And that kind of mismatch matters a lot in advisor change. The person talking most in the meeting isn't always the only one influencing what happens next.
So how would you actually open this meeting?
I'd keep it calm and direct. Something like, I know a transition like this can look settled on paper before it actually feels settled to you. My goal today isn't just to review details, it's to help this feel clear, personal, and steady from your side, too.
That's good. It acknowledges the reality without making it dramatic.
Or you could say, I don't want this to feel like you're starting over. I want to begin by reflecting what I understand about what has mattered in the relationship so far, and then hear what feels most important to carry forward.
That line is so important.
It really is, because once you see it that way, context stops feeling optional. It becomes part of how trust gets built.
Okay, so let's say the meeting goes well. How should the advisor close it?
I'd close by making the carryover feel real, not just great to meet you, more like, this was really helpful. I have a much clearer sense now of what matters most to keep steady, how you want support to feel, and what I need to stay close to. Here's what I'm carrying forward, and here's what happens next.
Yeah, that feels a lot stronger.
It is, because the client should leave feeling lighter, not heavier. More known, not like they have to explain everything all over again. That's really the test for this meeting. Did it lower pressure? Did it help the relationship feel more personal? Did it make trust feel a little more real?
That's such a good way to measure it.
It really is. That first real meeting isn't about recreating the old relationship. It's about building enough continuity and comfort that the new one starts to feel believable.
Yeah, not just professionally solid, something the client can actually settle into.
Because in advisor change, trust usually doesn't come back through credentials alone. It comes back through the experience of being understood, remembered, and cared for.
And that's what makes this meeting matter so much. It's one of the first moments where the client starts deciding whether this really is going to feel steady or whether they still feel like they're on their own.
So if you approach this meeting well, you're not just covering the transition. You're helping the new relationship start to feel real, because that is what protects continuity. It helps the client feel known, steadier, and more willing to keep building trust instead of quietly pulling back.
If this conversation made you think differently about what that meeting is really for, share it with another advisor who wants those first relationship-building conversations to feel more personal, more steady, and easier to trust.
And if you want the full meeting flow, the exact questions, the scripts, and the practical tools for guiding advisor change in a way that protects trust and creates real continuity, get the Advisor Change Transition Playbook Suite for advisors.
Because when the new relationship starts to feel real, the client is much more likely to stay open, stay engaged, and keep building trust.
Thanks for listening to Advising Humans.
We'll see you next time.